Hey everyone, and welcome to Mom and Me Unfiltered, the podcast where we keep it real, raw, and relatable. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Zuni, and we're here to share unfiltered conversations about life, love, family, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits, from generational differences to parenting perspectives. We're diving deep, laughing loud, and learning as we go.
So grab a cup of coffee, let's get comfy, and let's get into today's episode.
Today's topic will be running away. Let's talk about it.
So I know you mentioned in the last episode that you ran away. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Okay, so I ran away at the age of 16. It was a week before I turned 17. And I left my house for so many different reasons. I had a lot going on. It wasn't like I wasn't, getting along with my mom or anything like that. It was like far more than that. And, with the way I was raised, you wouldn't fight with your mom. You wouldn't argue with your mom.
Of course, I have the best mom.
But thank you. But, wasn't anything like that. But at the time, I had so much pain and so many different things that I was experiencing living at home that I didn't see any other way.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that I can, reach out for help in different places, like maybe even school. At the time, looking at the yellow pages or something, because we had no internet, we had no ways of getting resources and getting the help. Like, it had to be someone that knew some type of information, or you had to, either call the operator and also the yellow pages. So it really wasn't a lot out there for kids to know that there were places for them to get help.
That's kind of crazy that your generation didn't have a lot of resources in regards to finding help.
Yeah, we definitely didn't. And it's funny because there were times that, my mom would hit me, or my stepfather would hit me, and I would have marks on my legs. And I would purposely wear a skirt so that someone at school would notice the marks, or someone at school would notice something and ask me questions. But no one ever saw anything. No one ever asked. No one ever approached me. No one ever knew that, like, in my own way, I was crying out for help. But it was like I just didn't know how to seek the help. And also, my mom would always like make threats to us, like, oh, if the police were to come here, I'd beat the shit out of you in front of the police.
That's crazy talk.
It's like a fear, manipulation and fear and stuff like that if we ever called the police on her for any reason, like, that she would beat the crap out of us in front of the police, and there was nothing that we could do about it. So, when someone says stuff like that to you, you're gonna say, like, wow, I'm not gonna do anything because this lady is crazy enough to exactly do what she's saying.
Yeah, because that's your mom. You're gonna believe what she says.
And, your mom is supposed to be your protector. So, I never thought that my mom was manipulative until I got older. I never thought my mom was abusive until I got older. And I started to see a different way of life. But I already wanted to run away from home, and I ran away from home because I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, whatever was going on at home and all the things that I experienced, it wasn't right. Something didn't feel right. And I'm saying to myself, like, this is not the way things are supposed to be at home, and this is not the way things are supposed to be. So I decided to leave. I decided to leave with someone that I wasn't dating for very long.
Oh.
And I didn't know your brother and your sister's father for very long before we had a conversation over the phone at night. And, you know, he says that he said it jokingly and that I could move in with him.
Jokingly. That's crazy.
He said he was saying it jokingly that he wanted that I can go with him, that I could leave with him, that I could pack up my stuff and that I could go move in with him. But he was living with his mother at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he said I could go live with him. I took it as a serious, you know, conversation and said, hey, I'm gonna, because we planned it. It wasn't like, it wasn't a conversation. I said, okay, so I'm supposed to go to work after school. I'm not gonna go to work. I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna pack up my stuff and I'm gonna meet you at your job and I'm gonna bring all my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I did. And he didn't say no and he didn't say anything. He was surprised that I was there and that I actually, you know, went through with it. He didn't think I was gonna go through with it. He probably thought I was all talk. But
yeah, because you're not gonna really think as a teenager that someone actually is gonna run away.
Well, just because you don't think someone is serious about it, when people say something, there's always something behind what they're saying. Like they say, oh, a joke is, you know, really a half joke and half truth.
Yeah.
So when people say something, they are honestly speaking from their heart. They're not just saying things. People just don't say things. So, you know, I had a situation where I had a stepfather that had rubbed his private parts on my behind, you know, when he was supposed to go pick my mother up at school when she was attending beauty school at the time. And, you know, this was a man that I knew from the time that I was like 5-6 years old. And here I am, 11-12 years old. I consider him a father because I did call him dad. And, you know, with this incident, you know, the way my mom handled it, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to say something right away. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to wait. This is something she needs to hear about right away because, like, this man can't be around me if he's going to do something like that. And I asked my brother to tell her. And when she got home, my brother told her. And she closed herself in the room with my stepfather at the time. And, like, I didn't hear any yelling. I didn't hear any screaming. I didn't hear any arguments. I didn't hear anything. You know, he came out and it was like the day went on as usual. You know, we had dinner. They were in their room. He stayed and nothing ever happened.
That's horrible, because I know that if it had been me, you never would have done that to me. You would have actually done something about it, not just leave that person there.
What my expectations were was for her to call the police and make a report and have him removed. If he refused to leave, have him removed from the home in some way. Like, not to trust this man to be around your children anymore because he already exhibited some type of sick behavior towards your child and your female child, and it could have been way worse than what it was.
Exactly.
And she did nothing. She did not kick him out. It took a long time for her to get out of that relationship, but it was strange because when I asked her why she didn't leave him and why, you know, she didn't kick him out, and she gave her excuse was, oh, because I need the help. I need the help, and, you know, I have to provide for you guys, and I have to stay in certain relationships because I need the help to be able to support you guys and to be able to raise you. I don't think that that's a valid reason, and I don't think that that's something a child wants to hear, because I would want my mother to say that my safety is top priority, and You know, if you need to get help elsewhere, get the help elsewhere. But you don't tell a child, or I'm with a man that is going to mistreat you or do something bad to you because I need him to pay the bills of the house.
Yeah, because as a parent, you're supposed to protect your child. You're not supposed to leave something that's a threat around your child. And I know that you would never let anything happen to me.
Well, a good mother doesn't allow a pedophile or a predator or someone that's gonna harm their child in any way around them.
Yeah.
And that was something, you know, that was hard for me to even understand, and I didn't like being in that home anymore after that happened. And of course, you know, the physical abuse with, you know, the getting beat for every little thing. You're getting hit with the belt, you're getting hit with a wiffle ball bat, you're getting hit with hangers, extension cords, you're getting hit with, you know, branches from trees.
She hit you with a branch of a tree?
Yeah, that specific stepfather got some branch for some tree, and he, I don't know, he cleaned it up and turned it into like some long piece of wood that we would get hit with if we did anything bad. As far as they were concerned, if we did anything bad, we got hit with that piece of branch, and it hurt. Like, that piece of branch was, you know, not it wasn't fun to get hit with that piece of branch, because it's like it's wood. Why are you hitting your child with pieces of branches and with all these different, you know, things that you're finding around the house? I'm like, there's different ways to discipline your kids.
Yeah.
But, you know, my mom, the way I feel is, if she didn't want to be a mother, she should have never had kids.
True. And I agree. If you're gonna treat your child like that, then don't have them. Because at the end of the day, that's your child. You're supposed to protect them. You're supposed to want to take care of them. You're supposed to want the best for them. And apparently she didn't want that. And I'm glad that I never experienced that, because you're best mother of the universe. So
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Best mother universe. Listen, I know I'm a good mom. I try to be. I learn from my experiences and the things that I've been through, and I would never want my children to experience any of those things. So that's why I tried to do some things differently. Did I make mistakes? Of course I made mistakes. Did I do things that I shouldn't have done? Was I the perfect mom? No, I wasn't the perfect mom, but I was the best mom I could be, you know, with the knowledge I had, with the experiences that I had. And, you know, I wish that when, you know, you guys were growing up, I would have been the mom that I am today.
Exactly.
The mom that I've been, that I would have been a better mother when I was younger, because I became a mom so young, and I became a mom, you know, with a man that I didn't want to have children with, and I didn't want to be with, and, you know, I ran away with him, and I hadn't had a partner yet. I hadn't, you know, been intimate with anyone. So this was the first person that I was intimate with, and I didn't have intimacy with him because I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was intimate with him because I felt obligated to. You know, I'm living in his mom's home. I'm living with him, and eventually he's gonna get tired that I'm not being intimate with him. So I felt obligated to be intimate with someone that I didn't love and that I barely knew. And, you know, I lived a life with that person that I didn't want, and I didn't know how to get out of that situation either. So, you know, when when people talk about, or kids talk about running away, it's not that simple and it's not that easy. That's not something you should just
Yeah.
decide and say, I'm gonna do it because
Yeah.
my life is gonna be better, you know, when I leave my home. No, it's not.
Mhm.
Because my life actually got worse when I left home.
Mhm.
It didn't get better. You know, I went from the abuse and the issues and the things that I went through in my mom's house to experience the same thing when I left to be with that man, because he was
Yeah.
abusive and he was, you know, he thought he was everybody's mother and father. He was verbally abusive. He was manipulative, and he was physically abusive. So
Yeah.
I didn't escape anything. I was still
one abuser to another.
exactly. I went from one abuser to the other, and I wish that I would have made different choices back then. I wish that I would have spoken to someone in school and
Yeah.
gotten some help, or even gone to a precinct and asked for help and said,
Yeah.
like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Can someone help me? Can someone guide me? Can someone
Yeah.
get me to somewhere where
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel safe? Because I could have, you know, finished school and finished high school instead of running away from
Mhm.
home and, you know, getting a GED. Like, that wasn't the path that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, also my mom wasn't a supportive mom. My mom didn't support the things that I wanted. If I said, hey, I want to take law in high school, she's
Mhm.
like, oh no, if you try to become a lawyer, you know, you shouldn't do that because that's a dangerous job. Because if you go and you defend a criminal
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get him off, he's gonna
Mhm.
come back and hurt you or kill you. So that's not a job you want to do. And it's like, why would you instill
Yeah.
fear? It's like, I'm in high school, and if it's something that I want to learn,
Yeah.
I should be able to. It's not saying that, oh, if I go take law classes in high school, that's what I'm gonna become. You
Exactly.
don't know that, but let me make my own choices.
Yeah.
And I felt like I wasn't allowed to make my own choices. It's like there was always some type of feedback that I didn't
Yeah.
ask for from my mother, and then that never changed throughout my whole life. Like, it's always, I couldn't tell her anything because I always got some type of feedback, and it's always negative. It was
Yeah.
never positive feedback from her,
Yeah.
kind of like holding me back.
Yeah. I'm thankful that you never did that to me, because you always supported whatever I wanted to do. Like, you sent me to actual lessons if I wanted to do something.
So was there ever a point in time that you ever wanted to run away, whether it would be like here living with me, or even like when you would go stay with your dad for the summers?
I mean, with Dad, it was different because I always felt happy here. I never felt like I had to do anything I didn't want to. Whereas with Dad, I had to take care of my younger siblings, and since my stepmother at the time was very lazy and didn't like to take care of her children, I had to step up and feed, bathe, or play with them. And if I had to take care of one of them, I was always forced to sit there and make sure that they would either eat, bathe, or were satisfied with what they wanted to do. And I was never happy over there, so I always did what you did. I went to another place so I could get away. Like, I would always go to my grandparents' house because of that. Or if I couldn't go to my grandparents' house, it would be my aunt's. So I always felt pressured to do something when I was at my father's.
See, you're lucky because at least you had that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you knew that you lived here, so regardless, your life wasn't difficult here, living here with me, and you were supported and you felt supported here. But with your father, you felt that, you know, you were being used as a nanny.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, your father having you over and spending time with you and nurturing building your relationship with him and nurturing that. He
Yeah.
wasn't doing that. But you had a place to go. You
Yeah.
had your grandma's house, you had your aunts, you had, family around
Yeah.
that you didn't have to say, well, I'm going to run away from home. I didn't have that because, my grandmother was not, she just wasn't very loving herself. My grandmother had her favorites, of course, and that's not some place that I
Yeah.
would have chosen to run to because I don't think my life would have been better. And my aunts, I have an aunt that, she has two kids with a boy and a girl, my cousins.
Yeah.
And I had stayed with her before when we experienced the fire. And my experience staying with her wasn't a positive one.
Yeah.
Which I was thinking about this the other day, and I think we were talking about it, that when we had experienced our last fire,
Mhm.
that we lost everything, we all had to split up, and I was staying
Yeah.
with my aunt. And while I was staying with my aunt, my mother wouldn't check in on us. Like, my mother wasn't checking in on us. She didn't know what was happening while I was staying with my aunt. And I recall being in my cousin's bedroom, my female cousin's bedroom, and we're looking out the window because Jefferson Park is like right across the street from where they live. And, it was her bedroom because my male cousin
Yeah.
would sleep outside on a mattress, on a different mattress. He would sleep on a sofa bed.
Oh.
So my cousin had her own room. So I recall sitting there, looking out the window with her, and we're talking to people that are outside because they lived on the third floor,
Yeah.
and they knew all of the neighbors. So we're talking to people that are passing or just, at other windows, and my male cousin walks in
Yeah.
and he disrupts,
Yeah.
our conversation, and he disrupts us. So
Yeah.
from that, it breaks out into a fight, and we all end up fighting, and my aunt punishes us. So my aunt punishes us, and at that time, putting kids to kneel down was a big thing. Like, you put kids to kneel down, and it was like all day. We were kneeling down all day. And if we weren't getting up to go to the bathroom, or we weren't eating, or sleeping, we were kneeling down all day. So at one point, my cousins were tired of being punished, and they continuously tried to convince me to take the blame, because my aunt was like, oh, I want to know who started. And of course, my cousin, the one that came in to bother us, is not going to say that he started, the whole situation. My aunt wanted to know who started. Nobody wanted to take the blame, and I wasn't going to take the blame because I knew I didn't start it. My female cousin didn't start because we were peacefully in the room by ourselves until he came in to disturb us. So while we're punished for days, my mom is unaware that this is happening, and my cousins are trying to convince me to take the blame. And I continue to say no, and they're like, oh, but
As you should.
of
You
course,
shouldn't take the blame for something you never did.
right. But then they're like, oh, next time you come and next time you say we'll take the blame, and I'm like, no, because I don't come and stay here. So I'm like, I'm not gonna take the blame. And they're still talking to me, trying to convince me to take the blame and to take the blame. I just wanted to get off punishment. All I wanted to do was get off punishment. I didn't care about taking the blame. I didn't care. I knew I didn't do it. As long as I knew I didn't do it, I didn't care. So I took the blame. I called my aunt over and I said I did it. I started. And the weirdest thing happened. Instead of her saying, okay, you can get off punishment and it's over, you're off punishment and that's it, leave it at that, she said, okay, you guys are off punishment. And then she starts screaming, I knew it it wasn't any of my kids.
What? So just because it wasn't her kids, she gotta go and say that?
Yes. So the weird thing is, you're saying that in front of a child. I hear what you're saying. I took the blame, not because it was me. I took the blame because I wanted to be of punishment.
Exactly.
And you think that behavior, a person or a child is not going to remember that you behave that way and your reaction. And it's like, I'm still your family.
Exactly.
I'm your niece. And for you to behave that way and act like that, like what was that for? Like, I don't understand why a grown adult would behave in that way and be so happy that, oh, I knew it wasn't my child. No, it was your child. I only took the blame.
Exactly.
So all these years, you're over here believing that your children are angels when your children are not angels. So leaving my house, you think I would want to go to any of my family members if that's the behavior that I'm going to experience, that I'm still going to experience something just as bad, you know, from leaving my house?
No. You don't deserve that, and you didn't deserve that.
And no child deserves that. No child deserves for any adult to treat them that way or to behave that way around them, to make them feel like they don't matter and that only their children matter. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I would never ever boast in front of a child for any reason.
That's just disgusting.
So for me, I had nowhere to go. I had no other options but to leave with a stranger, hoping for the best, but it didn't turn out to be the best. And of course, you know, leaving my house, leaving my home where, you know, where I grew up. I have a story from before I left my home, and I have stories from after I left my home, because that's when things got even crazier and I experienced things that I had never experienced in my life. Domestic violence was a big thing, you know, in the household that I left to. And it wasn't just with me. Like, this guy would fight with his brother, like his younger brother, like fist fight with his brother. And he would fight with his stepfather. Like, one holiday I recall, and I was already there for some time, and I was pregnant with your sister. And I was already in bed, but he got into some kind of argument with his stepfather.
Or what?
And I believe the argument stemmed from the stepfather, like, being abusive to his mother, which to me made no sense. You're protecting your mother from someone abusing her, or for someone doing something to your own mother, but when it came to me, it wasn't the same.
That's kind of hypocritical.
So he's fighting with his stepfather, and I see the room door burst open. And when I see the room door burst open, I jump because I'm half asleep and half awake. And when I see him storm into the room, I see him go into the bottom drawer, and he takes out I don't know what you would call it, but you can't say the word here, but he took out a tool.
A weapon.
A weapon.
Of sort.
Yes, a tool, a weapon. He took out a weapon of sorts. And I panicked because I'm like, what is he gonna do? And what's happening? Because I was in the room.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was happening. And with the door open, he put his younger sister and his little brother in the room with me. So I had them in the room, but the door was still open. And I see him and his stepfather running around the kitchen. And next thing you know, I see his stepfather all bloody. And I didn't know what happened until after. He left the house because he didn't want to get into any trouble. So he left the house after that incident happened. and the police were called, and I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna get arrested, but he left the house. Can you believe his stepfather covered for him?
What?
His stepfather said that he got mugged in the building and that somebody hit him over the head with something. This man ended up in the hospital with getting a metal plate in his head, and he did not turn this guy in for what he did to him.
That's crazy.
And I understand that he felt guilty because he was being abusive to, you know, his mother, and he was defending, you know, the mother, but he still did something that was unacceptable.
Exactly.
And he put you in a hospital. And now, for the rest of your life, you will have a metal plate in your head because you were hit over the head, you know, with an object, with a weapon. And that is the type of life I led until I was finally able to break free from that person. But it took a long time. It's been a struggle. It's been a journey. There's so many stories about things that I've experienced, not only at home, but in my abusive relationship. And I'm hoping that, you know, from whatever I experienced, and if anybody hears, you know, what I went through, this is just little tidbits of what I went through. There's so much more, and so many more incidents that happened, but these are the ones that basically stand out. And if I can help 1, 2, any females from running away from home, making the wrong choices, don't ever leave with someone that you just met. Don't ever leave with a man. Just find another way. If you need safety, and you need to get away from home, and you need to get away from an abusive situation at home, don't just leave without a plan. And don't just leave without getting some type of help. Whether it's from going to a precinct or speaking to someone at school. Call 311. Find out if there's resources. There's always some type of help that you'll be able to find. I just hope and pray that, you know, females out there will be smarter. And they won't make the same mistakes that I made. And that, you know, if they ever hear my story, because there's so much more that we're gonna share, if they hear my story and see that it just hasn't been a good life, and it hasn't been great, and I've been through a lot, somebody else's cautionary tale may help someone down the line. So if it helps someone, then it makes me feel good that someone will say down the line, hey, I heard your story, and because of you I didn't run away, or because of you I didn't make the wrong choices, because of you I made a different choice, and I thought about things, and I got out of my situation, but I, you know, did it the right way. I did it a better way. You know, there's always room to find a better way.
And especially at schools with resources like guidance counselors and the like.
Just reach out to somebody that you trust. I felt like I didn't have anyone that I trusted. I didn't have a voice. I felt like I didn't have a voice, and I didn't trust anyone, and I didn't know who to trust, and I didn't know who to turn to. But if you don't know who to turn to, just find a way and find the strength to find someone to just, you know, just let it out. Just open up and let someone know, because even if it's not the right person, that person might know someone that can help you.
Exactly. Like a friend, family member, anyone.
Usually you can't always go to family members. It's easier for people to go outside of the family when, you know, you have dysfunctional family unit. You can't just go to another family member, because that other family member is just going to tell your mom or whoever it is that's abusing you what you're doing. So you can't go to your family. You have to go outside of your family. Go to a guidance counselor, go to a teacher, go to a police precinct, call 311. call a shelter. There's other resources.
Yeah.
So if you feel that you have no one, try to find the resources however, you can.
Yeah. I agree.
And hopefully, people make better choices.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I'm glad you didn't have to make any of those choices. And I'm glad that life for you didn't turn out, in that way. And you didn't have to experience any of those terrible things that I had to experience. And that was my plan for my children, never to experience any of the things that I experienced.
And I feel so privileged to have had such supportive family members, whether it be you, my grandparents, or my aunt. I'm privileged.
Yes, and I'm grateful for your grandparents as well, because your grandparents have been there for you since birth. Like, I can always say that your grandparents,
They're the best.
you lucked out with the best grandparents. And if I had grandparents like that growing up, I would have had a better childhood as well. But I'm very grateful to your grandparents from your father's side for everything that they have ever done for you, and for always being there for you.
I agree.
Well, that's it for today. That was our episode, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.